Hello everyone. Today we will be checking out how to create icons from any type of picture we find on the internet. We will not learn how to design the button with an image inside. We already know that from another video on the channel, but you can see here we put a stack panel in the button, and inside the stack panel we put the image. If our button is horizontally bigger than the image, we have to make the stack panel's orientation horizontal. If it's big in vertical position, in vertical direction, we have to make it vertical. You can see when I make it vertical, it spreads from up to down. So keep this in mind. Okay, so the thing we will see today is, let's say I want to find a nice icon to use, maybe as a warning sign or a button. In this case we will use it as a button. This will not be a Visual Studio or C# lesson. It will be more like a auxiliary lesson to help you make better interfaces. Okay, now I have an image here. So let's say I want to have a vectoral image that I can resize, and I'm searching for a nice logo or icon. So let's search for an icon that describes water. So we're looking for a water icon. Okay, nice. We have drops. We have one here. Now I can download this directly because it's a nice PNG file, and it has a transparent background, so you can use this directly. But let's say you need an icon very specific. For example, one of the hardest things I looked out to find was a CNC machine icon, because you see the concept is very broad and I cannot find an icon that can describe like a milling machine type of icon. So I have to look out carefully to find this icon. Or let's say I want to have an icon describing a milling operation. So here it is, for example. Okay, it's a nice photograph and it describes milling perfectly, but as you see, it is not clear. It's inside a simple photograph and it's not an icon, it's a picture. So first, yes, I will get this image, for example. I will save it to my desktop. I can use this directly, but it won't look like an icon. It will look very raw and unpleasant. So I have to make some editing. First, I go to my project and I put the image into my resources file, because I don't want to read it from the hard disk every time. I want it to be embedded in the project. So I created a resources file, put everything in, and as you see, I need to make some editing. I prefer Photoshop. So we have our picture here. First, I want to cut the unnecessary parts. I want a nice square. Okay. I select, first I made a square. Okay. And you have to, I suggest you learn Photoshop because it has everything you need to make an interface in perspective of bitmaps. So what I did is I selected the square tool, the rectangle selecting tool. I pressed CTRL control key and I positioned the square, and then when I right click, it says layer via copy. If I cut, it will modify the original source, so I prefer copying it. And you see on the right side I have a new layer now. This is my original one. When I hide this, I see the copied layer. This is one way, and another way is I can delete this one. I can directly crop. I can crop the original image. Here there's a cropping ratio. I can choose 1:1, so it's a square. But this is changing the source file. This changed the whole source. So you can use either one of the methods, both are okay. Now let's see, I need to remove the white background. So in order to do this, the easiest way, one way is to use a lasso tool and go to points 1:1 and 1. This is a very difficult approach. Another way is, for example, in this image, it's the white parts are very isolated, so I can use a magic wand and just click on them and shift click on the other part, and I can just delete them. But because this is my main layer, I cannot delete anything from this, so I need to copy the main layer. I just right click on it and duplicate. I hide the main layer, and now I can edit the copy because it's not my base. The base is locked. So I can also unlock it, but as I said, I don't want to damage the main source just in case I will use it later. So I will not use this approach. I prefer using the copied one and modifying that one. So I deleted it. And another one, if the white parts are, how can I say, in this one the white is on only one side, but let's say you have a complicated icon with many small white empty pieces in the middle. Let's say like this one. And also I will show you something very cool. And you see there are many icons here. So this is a low resolution photograph and it's $45. If I want to buy the high resolution versions of these, so this is a low resolution image shown as a thumbnail. So if I want the high resolution one, that will look very nice and crystal clean in my interface, I have to buy this package. But there's a way that I can save this thumbnail. Okay, save it, and we're gonna check that later. First we're checking this one. So in this kind of image, the best way is to just use the magic wand, select the white parts and delete them, and then save it as a PNG file. I save it as a PNG because I want the transparent backgrounds. The JPEG doesn't support transparent backgrounds. When I put the icon in the button, I want to be able to use the background color of the button. In order to do that, I need the background to be transparent. So I have the PNG of this. I don't need this anymore. Now the tricky part is I will open CorelDRAW. Now this is the resolution is 241 to 241 pixels. This is very small and the quality will be very low. Since I am looking for an icon, I do not need so much detail, so my icon size 500 to 500 would be enough for me. Okay, so I will import this PNG into CorelDRAW, File, Import. Here it is, import. Click OK. Now as you see, it's a low quality bitmap, and I can use this in very small icons, but let's say I want to use it as some kind of like background or some kind of big banner. So in order to use this, what I do is I have to convert it into a vector. The difference between bitmap and vector is, you can see the bitmap, the colors are coded in squares. So basically each square has color information and darkness, saturation and different specifications like that, and it is mapped bit by bit. This is why it's called a bitmap. But the vector doesn't use the pixels. It calculates everything with a text in the background, so you do not have to code everything one block by one block. It generates the final result from a text file that works in the back, and this way when you enlarge the image, because everything is a code in behind of the image, the quality will not deteriorate. But in this one, if I make it bigger, one square will be grown into 4 squares, and then the details will start being lost, because sometimes one square should be if there is like not round numbers in the squares, and then instead of 1.5 square it will take up 2 squares, and then you will start seeing quality problems. For example, when I grow this up, you see the problems are being more obvious, because as you see before there was only 1 square of black, and now when I grow it up, the tones are lost and information is lost. So what I will do is I will right click and convert this to a bitmap with a function called outline trace, and here there's different kind of tracing options. You can try each one of them, but I can say something like this. Let's say high quality image. If you use a high quality image, there will be more details, but you can fine tune it from here. If you make the corners more smooth, the color passages will be more rounded, and overall smoothing. And if you reduce the detail, as you see, it's horrible. So because this is a very detailed image, so we can try center line. This is not good. So when I change it from logo to detailed logo, it basically just uses this 3 setting into giving me different results. So the best is this one. Okay, now I have a vector, and of course, as I said before, this is not the same quality. Actually, I can get a better result. So it's not the same with the original one, but I can make it as much big as I want without losing quality, and I can give this some transparency to use it as a background, maybe in an intro or whatever. So this is one way. This is not very successful to use for a button, because this image in nature is not like a button. So when I convert it into a vector, there's some changes. I can of course bring this back to Photoshop, and then I can like make some fixing on it, but it's not a good idea to do that, because the more you play with it, the quality will be reduced. So if I want to use a big version, I can accept the loss of quality and use it as a background, maybe semi-transparent, and like that. So for the other one, we downloaded a set of icons. Not this, not this, not this. Yes, desktop. So business icons preview. I will go to CorelDRAW again. This time I will import the other one. Desktop. Okay, so here is the low quality icons here, and the other one was basically a very detailed image. So the result was an image that was able to be expanded in size, but still when you convert it into a vector, there is some loss in the details. But in icons like this, I will choose one and just crop it. Let's say I want to use this calculator icon, or let's say this credit card. So I choose the crop tool, mark what I want, enter, and I got it. Now when I make this bigger, you see the quality is also deteriorating. So I will trace the outline of it in the same method. And you see this one, it's much rounder, much better. And if I want to reduce the roundness here, I can just try to fine tune it. Too much detail is not good in this situation. Okay, so I got this image, the outline of it, and now I can make it as big as I want. You see the quality is not deteriorating, and with a few minor tweaks we will be able to get good results. For example, this is a rectangle here, so I can just draw over it. And from here you adjust the outlines, 2 pixel outline, and here is the fill. I will use a fill for it, use the original color, and I don't want any outline, so I bring this to none. So I fixed one corner of it. Now I will copy the square with Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and when you hold shift it reduces the size from the center, so you don't need to worry about the center changing. When you hold an object from the center, you can align it with the other one center. And from here I click it, I see it's 12 pixel wide, so I will change the diameter to the circle to 12 too. And the color is not the same. Okay, so I made a capsule shape from 2 circles and 1 square. Now I select them all and group them or combine them. Combine is not good. Group objects, okay. And then because I made this drawing automatically, I just right click and I just undo the group. Now I can, when I ungroup objects, I can reach each pieces one by one, and the old ones I will clean them. And now I have my new higher quality ones. So I copied this too, and I will rotate them 180 degrees. And also to fix the shape of the card, I can do something like this. CorelDRAW has a very cool feature. The thickness 25 is better. So the pen is the thickness of the borders, and the bucket is the inside filling. So I just draw a rectangle here, and for the color I will choose the original black color. And this rectangle has a function where you can round the corners like this. So it's when the lock is clicked, it does it on 4 sides, and that's what I want. You see, I have a perfect version of it. I can remove the original one actually. Okay. In this case, you see that the top level has a problem. I can either unlock the corners and remove the radius from here, or if you're lazy, you can just copy another block and mask it. So you see now we have we forgot the card's magnetic strip. So you see that now I used a very low quality bitmap, and
Don't forget to like and subscribe.